Atheists, what do you believe in? Serious? We need to look out for each other because help isn't coming. My wife's 3 rules of life. Stay safe. Have fun. Don't be a dick. When I was young, I used to think that after death you would have access to a PC that you could see absolutely anything about your life. Stats, any question you had no matter how obscure, replays of moments, perspectives of others in relation to you. No matter what you wanted to know, if it was relatable to you, you could see it. I know it's silly, but as time goes on I just want it to be real, and I don't think I'd have any issue allowing myself to fall into that delusion. Edit, why did pretty much all the replies to my comment get removed? I believe in a universe that doesn't care, and people that do. Realistically, I think nothing happens. We literally experience nothing after death. Same thing that we experience before birth. We don't exist, so it's nothing. I think the tenet that we should follow while living is to try to be happy and healthy while minimizing the damage we do to each other. What I would like to happen after death is whatever you believe in, exists. I think Christians should get to go to heaven if they truly believe in it, Hindus and Buddhists get reincarnated, and everyone else also gets to experience what they believe they will experience. I would still experience nothing. Maybe it's one of those things where at the moment of death their brain makes them experience what feels like an infinitely long moment in time where they experience their afterlife. I just think it would be neat for everybody. Nothing. Serious. You're born. You live. You die. That's it. After you die you cease to exist, the same as before you were born. Just be a kind and empathetic person, not because you're worried about some cosmic justice, but because it's the right thing to do. If there is some being that created us, there's no way they actually care about believing in it or adhering to some rules from over 2,000 years ago. Also, a big thing for me is that I find the idea that you need religion or the Bible in order to have morals and ethics pretty dumb. It's pretty fucking clear that most evangelicals have neither. But my main thing is being a good person simply because, as George Costanza once said, we're living in a society. If you're only a good person in order to make it to heaven, you probably aren't actually a good and moral person. Myself. I've always been there for me. Atheism generally isn't a belief in the usual sense of the word. It's a lack of belief in a deity. You don't need reasons for not believing in something. You need reasons for believing. Not believing is the default position. Asterisk, there is no plan, no grand design. There is what happens and how we respond to it. Asterisk, justice only exists to the extent we create it. We can't count on supernatural justice to balance the scales in the afterlife, so we need to do the best we can to make it work out in the here and now. Asterisk, my life and the life of every other human being is something that was extremely unlikely. That makes it rare, precious, and worth preserving. Asterisk, nothing outside of us assigns meaning to our lives. We have to create meaning for our lives ourselves. Humanity. Despite its very obvious, and apparent, flaws, I believe we have it in us to excel and be better. Science, how dope nature is. Science, research, evidence, that sort of thing. Also, the golden rule. What is something you changed your stance on after learning more about it? Social media. I worked for an agency selling social media services to clients and I had to learn about it. The more I learned, the less I wanted to work with social media. It's a cesspool of lies, fraud, and illegal activities. Edit, people are asking for details. If you Google the poop funnel, you'll see how an impressive share is distributed around, and only a small percentage of your ad budget actually goes towards ads. Many people who work in the area have no idea what they're actually talking about. Lately this happened. TLDR, ads were sent to the wrong place for a few months and nobody along the chain noticed. Facebook is doing illegal stuff continuously, like experimenting on people without their consent, change their settings without their knowledge, and collect info on people who are not even Facebook users, ghost accounts. When they get caught they say they're sorry, and that's it. Facebook single-handedly ruined Snapchat by blatantly copying their system, just because they didn't want to sell out like Instagram and WhatsApp, whose founders are very sorry about what they did to their users. Roundabouts. Based on all the complaints, I assumed they were confusing and unnecessary. When my city put in a bunch, I realized that I no longer had to wait 3 minutes at all of the punishment lights. Love roundabouts now. Of course that didn't stop the older population of the city from trying to have them removed. One guy even ran for city council on the platform that he would immediately put the stoplights back in. Change is hard, I guess. I didn't think orthopedic shoes were for me, but I stand corrected. Working hard. More specifically, working hard in a corporate environment. I like to work hard for things that I own and maintain, my home, my family, my body, my hobbies. But I've worked for almost 20 years for big tech companies. I've started at entry-level jobs and worked up to middle management. Support jobs. Sales jobs. I've made 6 figures. What I've noticed is that they want to pay you less and keep training and experience as a reward. That is to say, you are not working for a paycheck. You are working towards the next thing. But they convince everyone to work hard in an entry-level position, working unpaid overtime, and you might be rewarded with a higher job. Statistically, you will not be promoted. There are 30 people on your team who all have that same goal, and you can't all be supervisor or manager. Now, I just work for my paycheck. If you would like me to work harder, you can pay me more. I'm not going to go above and beyond for 2 years just to get passed over again. Empathy for the choices people make when they are not able to fully control themselves, i.e. addiction, mental health crisis/episodes. Having personal experience on both the receiving and giving ends really deepened my empathy and understanding that allows me to have a more nuanced and individualized approach to these kinds of things now. That case where McDonald's had to pay a bunch of money to a woman who spilled hot coffee on herself. Disc golf. All the guys I grew up with that played were huge douchebags. Years later a neighbor dragged me out on a nice day and I've been playing ever since. 10+ years. Getting therapy. My upbringing is within an Asian household, so when it comes to dealing with emotions, we tend to shove that into jar and move on. I used to think that receiving therapy is for the mentally ill, weak, etc. I don't have problems, therefore I don't need therapy. But after recent events in 2021 with certain people, I tried therapy, and after a few sessions it just revealed some baggage I wasn't even aware of. Honestly, I wish I started earlier when I was in my 20s. I would be more emotionally prepared, and would probably have had healthier relationships with women if I had dealt with the trauma growing up and from my first relationship that devastated me. Not sure I can think of anything I didn't change my stance on after learning about it. Jehovah's Witnesses. I grew up as one, and when I finally started doing research outside of their publications I couldn't believe what I saw, and I left. Edit. I was disfellowshipped because I didn't have the balls to disassociate myself. There were a lot of horrible things that happened to me in the religion in 2017 to 2019, so I felt my only way out was suicide. I failed my attempt in January of 2020, and was disfellowshipped in August of 2020, about 4 months after I got out of rehab. I lost my home, my job, my family, and my friends. Pretty much my entire life foundation. But I've built a support system from scratch, and now I have friends who love me for me, and not just based on religion. It's sad, but not many people get to start a brand new life in their 20s, so I'm grateful in many ways as well as grieving those I lost. Another edit. Thank you for all of the love and the awards. It's so heartwarming to see so many people going through the same experiences. We are never alone, and I'm sorry so many of you have been affected by this too. Final edit. If you are a Jehovah's Witness, I really don't need you commenting on this to tell me I'm wrong and you're not in a cult. What I've been through speaks for itself. So please let me be. Helium balloons. Helium is a finite resource of immense scientific value, and we use it for party decorations. Bad posture. Edit. Well, here's what you can learn from this comment thread about your posture. Apart from me being mildly funny with a great pun, change it regularly. Stand up, stretch, sit down, rest, sit up straight, slouch a bit. Just change your position/posture regularly. The only bad posture is the one you sit in or stand in for too long. A surprising amount of things. As a teen/young adult, I had made up my mind about so many things. Just decided things at a cursory glance without ever looking into or studying anything. I realized a lot of my snap judgments were either way off or well-intended naivete. I also understood that there would always be one person smarter than me, who could call me out on my sloppy opinions, which can be quite embarrassing. Instead of looking like a fool, I decided to actually research things, look into topics and gain an understanding of the subject matter. This was back in the 90s/00s, so having sloppy opinions was merely a social faux pas. Information is so important these days, it's crucial for everyone to actually read about the thing you have an opinion on. Something more than an internet article or an op-ed. It was the greatest thing I ever did for myself. I'm smarter because of it, I feel my opinions are more valid, my arguments are stronger, people actually listen when I speak, and most importantly, I don't have to question myself. Just about everything. One thing I've learned is that I'm never fully aware of any particular subject. Antidepressants. Grew up with most people around me saying I don't want to rely on pills for the rest of my life to be happy. It took for my depression and anxiety to get so bad that I was a shell just existing, unable to leave the house, totally dependent on my parents in my early 20s, and all but waiting to die. I never actively wanted to die and wasn't suicidal, but living the way I was just not worth being alive for. I've been taking antidepressants for 4 to 5 years now, and holy shit, have my eyes been opened. I felt a weight I never knew I was carrying lift from my shoulders, and I can now function as an adult. I lost most of my childhood and early 20s to depression and anxiety. The pills are helping me reclaim the rest of my life. Edit, holy hell, I didn't expect this to get so many upvotes. Thank you kind Redditors for the awards. Although in saying that, instead of giving me virtual golden stars, maybe donate to a local charity supporting mental health? Smiley face. What one subject do you absolutely give zero fucks about? YouTuber drama. Award shows. Buying pyramid scheme trash from high school friends who message me saying hey girl, I don't want to buy your shit. And I give zero fucks about how great and life-changing you pretend it is. Removed. Other people's definitions of what success or happiness is. Influencers. Famous people. Anything that has to do with celebrities. IDGAF. Celebrity gossip. I could not care any less about what these people do in their day-to-day lives. Social media influencers or their opinions. Zero fucks is an understatement. Social media influencers. The only fuck I give is the one I use to say I don't give a fuck. People famous for being famous without any obvious talent. Celebrities in general. Reality TV. NFTs. Gender reveal parties. TikTokers.